You're listening to the Scaling Wellness Podcast, the podcast dedicated to sharing the what, why, and how of scaling your wellness practice, as well as sharing inspiring stories of how others did it themselves. I'm your host, DJ Turner, author, agency owner, houseplant lover, and your go-to guy for scaling your wellness practice. If you're looking for tips on how to grow your team, book more clients, and get out of the day-to-day in your practice, you've come to the right place. Now sit back, relax, and let's get into the episode. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Scaling Wellness Podcast. I'm really excited. Today's episode, I'm going to be talking to multi-location, seven-figure massage business owner, Michael Greenspan. So Michael's the proud owner of Massage Revolution, a family business that serves the South Bay, Westside, and surrounding Los Angeles areas. His massage center in the LA area has earned a reputation for providing serious pain relief thanks to its team of 45 highly skilled therapists who are specializing in neuromuscular therapy. And with over 30 years of massage experience, Massage Revolution exists to be able to provide a high quality yet affordable massage so that their clients are able to get the relief and relaxation that they need. Now, this is a really cool episode because I don't often sit down with seven-figure owners. One is they can be pretty hard to get a hold of. Trust me, I try, and I'm really happy the few that we get to have on the show. And it's also something that we're not used to seeing in this industry. People who are massage therapists actively stay as massage therapists. They don't go into other modalities or things. You might see this with chiropractors sometimes, or people who go on to different types of degrees and modalities. And so this makes me really excited because I love showing you what is possible. And so aside from being the proud owner of his multi-location business, Michael still practices massage from time to time. He's a highly qualified neuromuscular therapist, and you can see him around as an instructor, an educator, and a coach. Now, for this episode, some really cool things we get into. One is the concept of authority marketing. And if you're trying to, whether you're the business of one or a business of many, you're trying to get into a space and be someone that is really well known, this is going to be really valuable to you, something that he was learning from the chiropractors and brought into his massage business. Obviously, we talk about what does it take to get into seven figures and how to scale to multiple locations, the importance of business, some of what do systems and operations look like as you grow to that size, when is it the right time to take your business to the next level, as well as why he chose to build his own business and not go and buy into a franchise with a very popular, well-known existing franchise. So it's a really cool episode. I'm really excited to share it with you and really thankful for Michael's time. So without any further ado, here's my interview with Michael Greenspan. All right, I'm really excited to get into this conversation. One of the first things I like to do with all of our guests is just provide some context. I know you've built a quite large, successful practice. So tell us, just with Massage Revolution, how big's the team? What's the space like? What the services you guys offer? And just give us some context what you're all about.
Sure, DJ. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate that. Love to tell you about it. We have currently 45 plus therapists right now on staff. We have 3 offices. I still do my private practice, and we're open 7 days a week. And our specialty is neuromuscular therapy, pain relief. We've got a great team of neuromuscular practitioners, as well as all types of regular massages. People mainly come to us for pain relief. We're known as the massage center for more serious pain relief in Los Angeles.
So I want to dive into a little bit about you as well. And so I was going through your website, kind of doing my research, and I wanted to ask about sports. You've been a very active person growing up. Just what place sports has kind of holds or held in your life?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, sports has been huge for me personally. I was a gymnast when I was a little kid, and I was a basketball player. Played baseball, soccer, tennis, and a lot of sports, but I definitely love sports. And I broke my back and I fractured my L5-S1 and got what's called a spondylolisthesis when I was 14, like a level 2, which is kind of a serious slip of my L5-S1, causing me a lot of pain. Mom brought me to chiropractors, didn't help, actually flared it up, tried physical therapy, surgery, tried a lot of things, and really nothing helped it until I got into massage school. That was the first thing that actually gave me a lot of relief. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. The other thing, sports, I'd say, truly helped for me, especially with basketball, because I played basketball. I started point guard throughout high school, just loved it. It just gave me that idea of setting goals in life, setting goals and having that determination to achieve it. That's what sports gave me. It's setting a goal and having the determination to achieve it. And I took that from sports.
Mm-hmm. So I understand. So kind of as we look past childhood and teenage years, so you went to University of Colorado, majored kinesiology. As you started to come out of school, specializing in neuromuscular therapy, starting your private practice. And so I want to ask, when did the vision for Massage Revolution first come about? Like, at what point did you start to see, like, okay, this is what I want to build?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm thinking back right now. I didn't know I wanted to open a clinic when I was in massage school. I just knew I wanted to be the best I could be. So I had an office while I was in massage school 30 years ago. I actually opened an office in massage school and I marketed it and I built that up. And I thought one day I may want to have a clinic, but it took me a while to figure things out. I was in practice. I love to travel. Probably about 5 years after massage school, I thought about I was going to open my own clinic one day. And then it wasn't until maybe another 10 years after that. So about 15 years into private practice, I was like, all right, it's time. It's time. So I took a big leap of faith. I saved a lot of money. I also had a business loan, which then I lost, because I filled out the paperwork wrong. So that's a whole long story. But basically, I drove out 16 years ago to Arizona to visit a well-known franchise that we all know. And I researched it and before they had launched, and I met the person who was in charge of selling franchises. I'm like, is this what I want to do? They have one location in Arizona. Do I want to do this mission, this vision? And I said, this doesn't resonate for me personally. I was offered actually to be the regional owner of all the Massage Envies and get a piece of them all actually in Southern California or in Los Angeles. And that would have been very lucrative. I would have made a lot of money. And I really didn't want to do that. I passed on that because my vision, my whole core purpose was to help people live healthier lives with less pain. That was my mission in private practice, teaching neuromuscular therapy for 15 years. Before, I was teaching workshops around LA, around the country, in private practice. And that mission just didn't add up to the franchise kind of mission. So I decided I want to open up my own massage center for pain relief. And started the process 16, 17 years ago, been open about 16 and a half years.
So I want to look back a little bit further, and we'll kind of look back and forth here. But your first year, you'd start a clinic while you're in school. It's really easy to look at the way things are now and think, okay, this is awesome. Look at everything that you've built. But what did your first year of business look like?
Yeah, I really had fun with it. I got an office. I went to school. I went to massage school in Boulder, Colorado, and it was a 2-year program, a 2-year massage school while I was getting my degree at the University of Colorado in Boulder. So I was going to both schools and I had this office. I rented it out to a psychologist part-time to cover a lot of it. I recall it being about $500 a month, which 30 years ago was a lot of money. And I think I paid maybe a couple hundred a month. So I was always like, if I could just practice my marketing, see some clients and cover my rent and make a little extra, that would be great. But I made a lot more and I was a lot busier. And, what it looked like was kind of messy at first. It's kind of like in marketing, they say, ready, fire, aim, right? Instead of ready, aim, fire. So I was ready. I fired away a whole bunch of stuff. And then I started aiming to see whatever would stick on the wall. And, some stuck and looked pretty and some look really, really ugly. And I learned a lot, there's successes and failures, and I never took it personally. And I just kind of grew from my results. I always looked at results, just results. Nothing was ever a success or failure. Truly, I looked at results and I said, this thing worked. I'll try it a little more. This thing didn't. I won't do it anymore. And that taught me a lot, actually. That was probably one of my biggest lessons at that time, private practice in massage school.
Now, I want to take a look at some of kind of these pieces. We'll connect some of the dots between then or as you first said, okay, let's have a clinic to things now. One of my questions is, How have you structured growth? Is it something where you've been very intentional or it's just kind of happened? Like, what was that path like to say, okay, we're going into this next phase, this next step?
Yeah, that's a DJ. That's such a huge question because if you don't structure growth, really, it's hard to achieve your vision. So you really have to structure growth. And I learned that later. I didn't learn that in the beginning. I think like a lot of people, we learn it later, unless we have really good mentors to teach us young. I had mentors later, coaches later. So early on, it was just me actually figuring it out. So when things were frustrating, I realized I needed to get more systems to structure, protocols to structure, write things out, come up with your SOPs, write your processes out, write out every single thing about your business. Like they call it hit by a bus. So if you were to get hit by a bus, if I was to get hit by a bus, DJ, you can come in and take over the business and know exactly what to do within my business because everything's written out. So that's what I learned to do a little bit later is write everything out, my processes, create systems for things so they are repeatable, consistency. So you have a expected outcome. You're not winging it. Winging it caused me a lot of anxiety. I would create a process for selling a gift certificate. I'd create a process for getting reviews. I'd create a process for every single thing in my business like I have today. We try and create processes for. It doesn't mean it's robotic. It just means it's clearly written out.
So I want to, there's a few places I could go. I love talking about systems, just the existence of them and what they can do in your business, as well as what can coaching and leadership and mentorship do. So at what point in your journey did you come across your first coach or like a formal position of mentorship? Like, okay, this is someone who can help me. Like, what was going on? How did you find them? And I guess, what did the business look like once you started working with them?
Yeah, I mean, I can't recommend enough getting a coach. My first coach was in private practice before my clinic. And I don't think mainly one guy, but it was really a group of men and women, neuromuscular veteran therapists. And they didn't realize they were my coaches. I was a sponge. They were like mentors, but they were coaches because it wasn't until I met this group that I realized the potential that not only can you achieve with helping people, serving people with results, getting people out of pain, because people would fly. They would fly in to see these people fly. I'm not talking like drive a couple hours. I'm talking fly. I was like, oh my God. But the money went off in my head that I could support a family in this field too. I could actually support a family. I could support my kids, put them through college and actually earn not just a decent living, but like a really good living in Los Angeles, one of the most expensive places in the world. So, this was a group of body workers, veteran neuromuscular practitioners and others earning $250,000 to $350,000 a year. This was over 15 years ago. I mean, that would be probably 500,000 today. And I never saw that before. It opened my eyes to a whole world. So to me, that was a mentor. That was the greatest mentor to see the vision. Once I could see something and wrap my head around it, that's why I do vision boards. Once I can see it, once I can imagine it, I can wrap my head around it. Nothing's going to stop me to achieve it. But I never could see it then. I could never see it. So that was the first example.
Now, I want to get into the weeds a little bit. One of the things that I want to talk about, because with the podcast, I've got some audience that is listening that as we had gone through a name change, but also just really trying to talk about what are those things it actually takes to reach those different levels of a practice. If we look out, I think in most wellness industries could be massage, could be chiropractors. We have the 80% who are solo practitioners. If we get to the next 20%, they're having some sort of group clinic. And then we start to get to that top 1%, you start to see multiple locations, some people even franchising different versions of what that looks like. So in that first transition, when you're thinking about the systems and the people and the processes in place, when you went into a clinic, what were some of those things that were most important that you had to change, had to focus on?
When I went into a clinic, I really had to get more evergreen marketing systems. I had to really nail down my marketing that pulled results, because here I am having to not just get myself busy, but a lot of other people. So I created like a whole marketing calendar. And this is stuff that all wellness practitioners ought to be doing, right? Like consistency, evergreen, well, marketing calendars where it's predictable. It's predictable every single week, every single month. If it works, why change it? So I had to do that. I had to delegate a lot. I had to get out of my way. Most business owners are kind of, at least in my experience, and a lot of them admit it, they're kind of controlling, right? And very controlling, because we're used to being in control. So we want to micromanage. So the lesson is, how do I not control? How do I get out of my way and let this person shine with their gifts and let them just take off, because they're capable. So it's really just like a whole, it's like a self-growth kind of journey as a business owner, as you can imagine, I'm sure.
And from that transition into opening, let's talk about, you've got 3 locations now. The second location, those transition points are always for me personally, some of the most fascinating. So the, solo practitioner to team, or first employee to first level of management, first level of having the second location. When you went from 1 location to 2, what had to change? Like, what was different that you had to either update your systems or your mindset, or like, how was that different to get to be able to have 2 locations running?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. That, when you have your systems down and everything's structured and organized, nothing really changes. It's just basically an expansion, in my opinion. Everything's smooth. It's just a natural progression. So like in the building I'm at right now, we have 2 different locations, 2 separate offices. And then I have another one. So I'm here in Manhattan Beach, and I have another one in Santa Monica. The more you have your structure, the more you have your processes, less has to change. It just gets busier, and you just need better people to help run everything. You just need, not necessarily better, just more trained, more on it, bought into your system.
And so at this stage now, what does your organizational structure look like? Obviously, to be able to do this, there's a lot of people that are going to be involved. You've got you at the top, but what are the other roles, practitioners, administration, management, leadership, whatever, that are keeping the ship afloat?
Yeah, great question. I have my wife who's amazing and helps a lot with bookkeeping and helps with interviewing and things like that. I have a great manager. We have a great assistant manager. We've got a really good team of front desk and amazing therapists as well. And we meet every week with our front desk team. Like, I do a meeting every week where we touch base on goals. We touch base on stats. That's huge, to touch base on your stats, know your math. Meet every week to see how everyone is doing with their goals, how everyone is feeling and doing, and creating a really good culture. Creating a good culture in your environment is crucial. And the more positive you have of your culture, the easier it is to grow, because your culture is what will allow you to grow efficiently. And nurturing and embracing the paradigm of a very healthy, positive culture is huge. It's one of the most important things, because without it, there's like a virus in your business. So those are very important. So I would say that, DJ. Yeah.
And then a bit of a specific question, something that I see, a question that I think is really interesting for people, but is not something you'll find in most Facebook groups or conversations, is just when it comes to management. So there's different management and leadership styles, but one specific question is, for you, at what point did you say, okay, I need to bring in someone else to help me manage the people? How big was the team, or how far into the practice where that became something that was a necessity or something you were seriously considering?
Yeah, that's really huge. So a lot of people would tell you, get a manager when you hit like the $1 million total sales mark. Before that, you can kind of manage it on your own. Because a manager costs a lot of money. It comes from your net profit, right? So it's hard to afford like a good manager. But the sooner you can get a manager, the better. I realized years ago I needed a good manager because I'm not a good manager. I tried to be, I'm more of a marketer. I'm more of a practitioner. I'm more of a teacher. I still teach neuromuscular, but managing, it's not my gift. So I realized that. And as soon as I was able to afford it, as soon as you can afford it, I'd say find somebody who has that gift. If that is your gift and you truly want to do it, sure. But really, like they say, you got to work more on your business than in your business. And if you're managing, it's really hard to work as the owner in the business. It takes away from your higher abundance mindset to be like the high quality marketer, to really just achieve what your goals, I would say. A lot of managing is putting out fires, right? So as the owner, who wants to do that, right?
We'll be back with this episode in just a moment. But first, let me ask you a question. Does it ever feel like you're stuck on some sort of business treadmill? Despite all the hard work you put in, it feels like you aren't actually going anywhere. And at first, growing your practice and filling it with clients was everything you ever dreamed of. But now, the day-to-day of your business is starting to almost feel like a never-ending nightmare. You know you love your clients, you maybe even built a team, and you can't imagine giving any of it up, yet at the same time, you feel like you just can't seem to escape. If that sounds like you, I want to offer you an alternative. I like to call it Wellness Practice Freedom. It's a place where your practice gives you more than just money. When you get to this point, you're no longer the main engine in the vehicle, and instead, you finally get to act like the driver. And most importantly, you'll be in a place where you can work as little or as much as you'd like, because you know that your practice is built in a way that it can thrive without you. Sound interesting? Then I want to invite you to take the journey to achieving wellness practice freedom. During this call, we'll dive into exactly what freedom looks like for you, the changes that you need to take, and what's going to allow you to step back from your business without worrying about your income or everything falling apart. Ready to get started? Then head over to my calendar at www.scalingwellness.com/chat. Again, that's www.scalingwellness.com/chat. Now, let's get back to the episode. I want to shift the conversation a little bit to talk some of the things about marketing when it comes to practice growth, something that I know that you have a really strong suit in. We think about all the things that are necessary to grow a practice. We've got systems, we've got management, there's mindset, there's a lot of different areas of a business, but one of them that is just inevitable, undeniable is that, okay, you are going to be serving more patients and more clients, and you need to bring them in. And so I want to get into what your approach has been to marketing and what you've done to really, supercharge that influx of clients.
Yeah, that is another amazing question. And it's such a loaded question, right? Like, what do you do and everything? So there's so many things. There's, as you know, as a marketer, there's so many things that go into marketing, right? So you're not like doing one thing, you're doing like 1,000 things like all together. And hopefully they all bring a good ROI and return. And then you measure it and you see what's working the best and you kind of go with that, right? So let me see. Some of the things I've done to create, I really studied copywriting a lot. Like that was huge. Studying copywriting is something massage therapists or wellness practitioners or chiropractors, a lot of wellness practitioners I found are a little averse to doing because, we want to just do our craft. It makes sense. But if you're going to be a marketer, it's important that you are able to convey your message in a way that people see it, because perception is reality, as we know. So you have to be a good copywriter in marketing, whether that be an email, postcards, letters. So I became a really good direct mail writer. So I have really, really good evergreen direct mail campaigns that pull very well. It's very predictable. I can go move to another city and I know in 3 months I could build up my practice because I have really good evergreen marketing that works, that I've tested. I've split tests. I've sent 5,000 here, 5,000 here, 5,000 that way. And I know what headlines, I know what offers work really well. That's huge. I really created a marketing calendar so it's predictable. So I'm not winging it. Like I mentioned before, you got to have a marketing calendar. Like right now, it's almost August. I have an August special that I use every year, an August special. We're finishing up July. I had a July 4th special that crushes it. And I've used it like 5, 6 years in a row. Same exact promotion. I don't change it. That's the thing. Like once you find something that works, you don't have to change it, which is awesome. It's like you were saying, DJ, it's done for you, right? Done for you is like evergreen, is great. So come up with successes and just reuse it. rinse and repeat. Authority marketing is another thing that I got really into. Authority marketing is where the perception of the person, the client, is that they're viewing you as credible, trustworthy, and authoritative, right? Because people want to go to people, obviously. They go to people and they will come to you and they will pay top dollar. Not that it's all about top dollar, but we all need to make a living here, right? So regardless of what your rates are, they will pay it when, just like you will, when you view somebody as an authority, when you view somebody as credible with credibility, believability, and trustworthiness. When you have actually all four of those, it's the magic ticket to being able to build your practice anywhere, any city, anywhere around the world. Every single one of us, you, me included, will give pretty much, if you value your health, just like many people do who come to wellness practitioners, they will give pretty much a blank check, not so to speak, metaphorically speaking, right? They'll give whatever they can to go to the person who will help them the most, that they believe will help them the most. Like when I go to practitioners, the person that I want to go to is the one I believe is an authority who can tell me what to do, give me their gifts, hold my hand, lead the way, and basically walk me through the process. That's what I try and embrace in my practice, to come across as the most credible, believable, trustworthy, and authoritative person. So that person wants to not just come to me, but come back to me because they trust me with their valuable dollars, their blood, sweat, and tears, their money that they've earned, so that they believe it's going to be money well spent. And not only that, but they'll then be totally crazy about telling all their friends. So that's what authority marketing is. There's a whole system and tactics and strategies to create that. That's why people write books. That's why I wrote a couple books. That's one thing, is you establish yourself as an authority. And whoever said that a wellness practitioner who just graduated after 1 year can't write a book, right? That's one of the things I don't believe in, that people are told, wellness practitioners or people are always told that you got to pay your dues. I think that word paying your dues really sucks. Like, who says you got to pay your dues? Who says you can't have $1 million practice your first year? Like, who says, right? Why do you have to pay your dues for years and all that? So that's been one thing that I always try and tweak in people's mindsets when they ask me about success strategies. Yeah.
And I love hearing about that. I think it's the marketer in me gets really happy and really excited. It's just one of those things that it's like, when you think about a business of marketing, like the pure thing is marketing, there's so many more tools all of a sudden you see available to you, that when you're focused when you're focused wholly on the craft of massage or chiropractic, you kind of don't even see that all of these other tools exist and all these ideas exist. And I'm just really curious, how did you figure this out or come across these ideas, or what was your introduction to these ideas of doing this direct response and authority marketing and things like that?
Yeah. I mean, it might've been Dan Kennedy originally 25 years ago who introduced me, or, one of the big Jay Abrams, or, just all the copywriters. I think how I got introduced, well, that was originally, but then I started signing up I started noticing my mail, and I paid attention to other industries. I was a sponge, really learning from the dental industry. Huge. The dental industry has some amazing marketers. The chiropractic industry has some amazing marketers, personal trainers, and just all the other industries that it doesn't have to be massage. In fact, it was never massage because in the massage industry, there's not a lot of great marketing. There wasn't years ago. It was really in other industries like chiropractic or dental. So I paid attention to the direct response letters, postcards, styles, 800 numbers, voicemails, free gifts, free packages. Infomercials was a big one to learn about setting an expiration date, using scarcity and urgency. Cialdini's book was great. His book, what's his book? Famous book.
Influence and
Yes. Influence.
Persuasion. But I think Influence is the most famous one. Yeah.
Yeah. Influence is a great book. And it teaches you about scarcity and urgency and the psychological principles. So, I was a kines major, but I was also a psych major. And I was like one class short of my degree in psych. So I was ready to get out of school. So I didn't complete it. I just finished with my kinesiology degree. So basically, I studied a lot of psychological principles. They interest me. So I love that. And it sounds like you do as a marketer as well. So I think that's how I got introduced and started to just learn in different industries and different books.
I understand you also spend time working with other practitioners and helping them grow their practices, making sure they're bringing in clients, doing the things they need to grow. I'm curious, one of the things that I know you take a focus on is making sure that they're looking at their metrics, their KPIs, their stats goals. For you, what are the things that practitioners should be focused on? Does it matter in what phase of business they're in?
I think they should look at their stats, even private practice, beginning phase. You always want to know your math. I was a math guy, and personally, yet also I realized the most successful, not necessarily in private practice, but still in private practice, but more so in the clinic owners, the one who are like overall business, more business mindset, they all knew their math, and it set them apart. The more successful I saw the person, the more I saw they knew their math. What does that mean to know your math? Well, knowing your math means you need to record and know your total collections, your total sales, like daily, weekly, monthly. I do that daily, weekly, monthly. You may not have a clinic, so you may not need to know like your total. Actually, it has nothing to do with a clinic. In private practice or not, knowing your leads is good. Measuring your number of leads, knowing your number of new clients you get, knowing your total clients you have. How many referrals do you get per month? What's your visit average? The two, actually, one of the most important ones I actually use is my visit average. What's the actual visit average, like amount per visit? And what's my client visit average, like the number of visits that the client comes on average? That's where you get into lifetime value, and you figure out the lifetime value and etc. So once I work with some coaches on how to do all that, because there's a whole process with determining that, it expanded. It goes back to the spiritual or psychological or universal principle. What you focus on expands. And that was huge for me. What you focus on expands. So it wasn't until I focused on my stats, it took me from 1 million in sales to 2 million. It wasn't until I actually looked at it, tracked it, followed it, worked hard on strategies and tactics to improve it, notice what is working well, what's working not. And yeah, so that was huge. That's huge for me.
And I want to take a look. There's something that any practice or practice owner I've come across, I think in their journey, they've either made some sort of mistake or they've had something that may have been a hard lesson that they learned from. When you think back, is there anything that really stands out to you? A mistake, a slip up, a lesson that wasn't so fun to learn that you would say you really learned a lot from?
I've had so many lessons, DJ. I can't even tell you. And, like so many failures and lessons. Probably had 10 failures for every success, right? So one big lesson I'd say, money mindset was huge. I went bankrupt years ago, way early. And that was a huge lesson for me. Learning to how to respect money and realizing I'm never going to go there again. And that was way before like my clinic, but it really set my mind straight with like money mindset, knowing that I'm worthy of this, knowing that I deserve this rate. I did the math for what I want to earn per year, how many clients I want to see, multiplied it by the number of weeks, figured out exactly what I want to earn per year. I set my math, I set my goal, and I said, I'm going to achieve this. This is what I need to charge per session. And this is what I want to earn. And I'm worthy of it. And I deserve this. So that changed my whole mindset. So other things were like, a lot of little things like be direct, be very direct with people, serve the customer first. I learned that later on as far as like, who is the boss? I'm not the boss. My manager's not the boss. The clients are the boss. This is a client-centered, client-serving industry, the wellness industry. We serve people. So they are truly the boss. And what that means is if they are the boss, then there's a whole system of customer service and make them happy customer service that you have to do. And so I have an entire system, an entire book of training and everything that I train myself and everybody else on, that the client is the boss. And aside from the obvious paradigm that you have to have internal customer service and treat everybody kindly and equally and compassionately and empathetically, that's not what I'm talking about. The paradigm, though, as a culture, is that the client is the boss. They're the one who pays everybody. It just happens to flow to my bank account first, and then it goes to everybody else. But the client is the boss. And I learned that later on. And I had failures when I wasn't thinking that way.
So you've come so far in your business journey. What's next for you? What's on the horizon?
Yeah. So, what's next? Just continue to stick to my mission, my vision, my core purpose to help continue to serve people, continue to help other wellness practitioners grow their business, I'd say. Continue to teach my workshops, continue to create a more efficient systems so that I'm able to let my practice go. Like when I'm on vacation, I'm going to Portugal Sunday for 2 weeks. I just got back from Costa Rica for 6 weeks last week. Continue to serve, I'm in between right now for a week. And this is like something really cool to me to do, is just talk about marketing and business. So I'm always like open to like helping people. And so I think just remaining open to serving and helping people. And that's it, really.
So this has been a really great conversation. I've got a few more quick questions. They don't have to have quick answers. When you think back to all the things you consumed, is there any resource of yours that's been a favorite or really stood out to you? So a book, a podcast, a course, a program, a person, just whatever, something or someone that has been a favorite of yours or really helpful.
Yeah. If I looked at my Kindle or my Audible, I'd have like it's really like, what's the latest book you're reading, right? Because it's just like one after another. And if you can get one golden nugget, you're doing amazing. So I love all the pioneering marketers, Jay Abraham and the Kennedys. But really, like Brian Tracy is amazing. I love his book on goals, just everything he does. But a lot of the stuff I've done is mindset stuff, not just like strategies and tactics. Honestly, it's probably like 80-20. 20% studying the marketing, 80% fixing my head. I spent a lot of time, I would do retreats. I did like a 10-day meditation retreat once. It's just constantly working on to be able to get out of my own way and see things more clearly. So another book, there was a book about it was like waking up early and having a routine. I really like that book. I can't remember the name, The Morning Ritual or something like that. So I like Les Brown. Les Brown's like one of my favorite motivational people. Oh, Jim Rohn is amazing. Jim Rohn and Les Brown, if you listen to these guys, what they say, and like you can't help but expand your mind. And when you expand your mind, the answers come. So that's to me the key.
And I'm curious right now, with all the things that you've got going on, just what is your current obsession, the thing you want to tell people about or can't stop thinking about? It could be business, it could be personal.
I love dark chocolate. I'm kidding, but not. I literally order dark chocolate from Costa Rica, like a box a month. I love 70%. But what I'm really obsessed with is setting a goal, not a wish. They say don't make it a wish, put an expiration or a deadline and make it very specific. And then it's a goal. You have to have goals, and then don't give up. And that's really what I'm obsessed about. Like, I love helping people achieve things. I love helping people get out of pain. I love helping practitioners, improve their skills. There's a lot of things I'm really passionate about. It's definitely not managing. That's not my specialty. So yeah, I'm really passionate. I love teaching and helping practitioners improve their skills. I love teaching marketing. I love helping wellness practitioners grow. I love the notes from clients that say, you guys have changed my life or things like that. So I'm real passionate about that. But as far as like suggestions, set a goal, make it clear, and just never give up. That's my suggestion for anything. Yeah.
So again, thank you so much. Really, the final question is, so I understand, you have your private practice, you also have your coaching business. Just if someone wants to get in contact with you, learn more about you, where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, I've got quite a few sites. I say just go to the coaching site. Probably, yeah, that's probably the best one. It's wellnesspracticeconsulting.com, wellnesspracticeconsulting.com. That would be the easiest one. Just like fill out a form.
So again, thank you so much. And thanks everyone watching, listening, however it is you're consuming this content. That's all for this interview. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. The Scaling Wellness Podcast is hosted and produced by yours truly, DJ Turner. Administration, guest research, editing, and associate production by Helen C. For highlights and updates, follow us on Instagram at Scaling Wellness. And for more information on how to scale your practice up and get out of the day-to-day, head to www.scalingwellness.com.